It's a rainy day here in South Louisiana, but it didn't stop these people from coming out to the tour. So let's go see what they're learning.
Our goal is 1-to-1, one fungi to every bacteria. And when you do that, your pest pressure goes to almost nothing. Your disease goes to almost nothing. And your nutrition in your plants shoots through the roof. And that is always my goal. The more nutritious the food that my animals eat out of this garden, that I eat out of this garden, the healthier I am, the healthier they are. Keeping that nutrient cycle going at all times. Because then their manure and their waste products, we use their blood and their urine, it all comes back here. So the more nutritious I can make their feed, the more nutritious their byproducts are, the healthier my soil. So that cycle's always going, always going. Let me cover that back up.
Does it matter what kind of hay you use?
Trash hay. So when I say trash hay, you want to make sure there's no pesticides or fungicides. There's not many farmers in Louisiana that have cows that spray their fields. It's not profitable. If it's trash hay for a cow, they're just gonna, they might put a little fertilizer in the ground, and that's all right. I mean, you have to kind of, if you're okay with it, you're okay with it. And when they roll it up, this guy had this sitting in his barn. He didn't even need it. I got a great deal. He delivered, rolled it off for me, and I don't have a tractor. How am I going to get that off, you know? So, I mean, he did all that for me for an excellent price out of Kentwood. We have a video up with his name and number posted on our page, and he'll bring hay to you. It's just good trash hay. And as I was unwinding it, y'all finding earthworms like this up in the hay already, eating that. So that's what you want. I mean, you want to bring all that life back to your soil. Put a shovel in this soil and not pull up worm after worm after worm. And we've had the USDA NRCS come out and check our soil. We do soil tests through Canopy Field of Dreams twice a year. We do biological tests. We have increased the biology of the soil from like 1,000 to 8,000 in 6 months. We balanced our fungi to our bacteria. It was like 800 to 1. Pour water on ground flour, it just kind of sinks in the center, and then it begins to pour off, and all the water's now flour color, and it runs off. But you take a piece of bread, that's like soil aggregates. When you think about soil, a slice of bread is very similar to what untilled soil looks like. You start to pour water on a slice of bread, it does what? It soaks it up until it overflows. It's the same thing with this soil. With this heavy mulch, no-till on top of this clay, what happens is the water hits it, the mulch slows it down. The soil takes up everything that it can, and then it slow runs the rest of it straight into my pond. 5 gallon of beat of bottled waters up here. My hoses don't reach way up here, guys. So I have to tote water to these plants. Now, I don't know about y'all, but 5 gallons of water is a lot. And I wear out. I'm one person. By the end of the day, I can barely walk. So my thing is this. I need everything to be as self-sustainable as possible. So if you notice, this is super heavy mulch. Around these little bitty trees are pieces of cardboard cut, split around with slits in them. So what happens, they're up here, babe. So what happens is, if you look, there's cardboard there, all right? So this cardboard is protecting the soil. You see how it's absorbing the water already? And then the mulch is all the way up on it. It's gonna, and look at the leaves. The leaves are underneath the hay so they don't blow off.
It's also providing a good spot for worms to come up.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So all this is about amending the soil.
Without planting.
Yes.
And I think the deep roots are not a bad idea at all.
No.
But your mulch, plus that would probably be an extremely synergistic effect there.
Yes.
As well.
Do you guys get a lot of pine straw out here and use that, or?
Yeah, so I go in the woods here. Now most of, other than the heavy mulch of hay on top, the trash hay, all the leaves come off my property. So when you're looking at these leaves piled up out here, like I have a video, my husband started over there and it was like a tidal wave of leaves that he blew. It took 45 minutes to get them from that side to this side with a big blower. And that's what we do. We blow them all year long back into the garden, back into the garden. You can never have enough mulch, guys. You simply cannot. So if your neighbors have leaves, we use grass clippings. So when I cut grass, I'm out here with a rake because I don't even have a grass catcher. I'm raking it up, putting it, and it goes back into the chicken coop, back into the garden, back into the worm bin. So I deep water right here. So there's my little one potato plant that made it through the freeze. So
Direct seed, everything?
this year's a combination. Last year, when you first start no-till, I highly advise you transplant everything. Everything. Grow your plants out or purchase them from somebody. Drill you a hole, because in this, we used a drill. I mean, I was like, that, the stuff they gave me, I'll show y'all when we get over here, the tool they gave me bent in the first week of trying to get in this clay. Like the tool, just my husband put his 220 pounds on it, and the tool, American, US made steel, like this. I mean, it just couldn't make it through the soil. You couldn't even get a shovel. So he bought me a drill bit that goes on the end, and I just went whoop whoop, made a hole, filled it full of compost, worm castings, rabbit manure, put my transplant in, composted around it, pulled the heavy mulch back to it. And that's how I did this entire 1/4 acre last year. This year, the soil is so amended, I was able to actually get some seeds, the okra seeds, directly in the soil. The corn, the black oil sunflower seeds, directly in. The red beans, the bush beans, directly in. Now, I did transplant things like the melon, the tomatoes, that kind of stuff. I transplanted them in because I wanted them bigger and was ready to go. So it's a mixture this year, which is, like I said, for me, it's a learning experience because now I've got to heavy mulch in between the rows. I can't just roll my mulch out like I did last year and then make a hole, put a plant in. A cheese grater over your skin, it leaves a big, raw, open sore. That's bare soil. And what happens with bare soil is it cannot absorb the water that Louisiana dumps. So you're going to lose a lot of your topsoil. Most of your fertilizers are going to run off into ponds and into streams and back into our waterways. And the third thing, guys, it's just going to dry out and you're going to have to water and water. It's not sustainable. What if you couldn't get commercial fertilizers or you didn't have a way to run water to your garden? If your garden can't stand without either one of those, you need to think your process back through. It's not sustainable.